Ladies and gentlemen of Kaiju Con Line, it is I, Kyle, from the Kaiju Cast here with another killer panel. This one here is about Godzilla Fest that happened in Japan last year, and I'd like to introduce my guest for this particular panel, or my co-host, or whatever you want to say here. Joining me is Ed Holland, a photojournalist, reporter, writer, and actually a writer for various publications, including GFan. He's an event coordinator, an editor of Monster Attack magazine. Dude, Monster Attack Team magazine. Live. That is like my worst thing with the magazine title. I always drop off like one word for some reason. Monster Attack Team magazine head honcho Ed Holland is here. I'm going to keep going. You were the recipient of a community service award from the Cabinet Office of the Government of Japan. Welcome, correct, Fancy Pants Ed Holland.
Now we can actually start now. Thank you, everybody, and good morning from Japan. Kyle and I had originally planned on doing a panel together for the 2020 G-Fest, and then I think we reaffirmed our plan at Godzilla Fest, November 3rd, 2019 in Hibiya last year. I'm really glad that we're both able to get together and do this online.
Yeah, Ed, I'm so happy. First up, so happy that you were able to even be here. And secondly, so happy that we're able to do this with you coming to Kaiju Con Line from Japan. Also, Mike Keller is, of course, in the audience. I knew he would be, so I had to make sure to call him out at the beginning. How's it going, Mike? Yeah, so Ed, welcome to Kaiju Con Line. And how did you get... We're going to talk about Godzilla Fest in Japan. How did you get involved with that event? Actually, why don't we tell before we get to that, why don't we tell the audience that's watching what was Godzilla Fest? Because obviously this is the time when we'd have G-Fest in Chicago. The G might stand for Godzilla. You never know, trademark. But so we would normally be at a Godzilla Fest ourselves, but Godzilla Fest that we're talking about, what's that about?
Well, Godzilla Fest is basically the birthday of Godzilla, when it premiered in the theaters back in November 3rd, 1954. So Toho put together a festival, a one-day festival, where people could come and enjoy and celebrate Godzilla and all iterations of Godzilla. And you and I and your Kaiju Cast listeners and some other people were there last year, November 3rd, for the third Godzilla Fest. And after moving back to Japan in the summer of 2018, I was invited to the sound stages of Toho. And I think you might have a photo of something there. And I took some set photos during the making of the short. And the short film, Godzilla Appears in Tsukugawa, was shown in 2018. And that featured the Shodai Godzilla costume designed by sculptor Yuji Sakai. And there it is at the Eiji Tsuburaya Museum in Tsukugawa, Fukushima, which I think you and some of your friends also visited.
That's right. I feel very lucky to have been to that museum twice.
Yes, it was very nice. Ultimately, I met Sakai-san a few times, including the set in Toho, the making of the movie. Plus, I also met him at the Tsuburaya Eiji Museum. That picture you showed a second ago was backstage. Can we show that one again?
Absolutely.
So that picture backstage there is the 2018 Fest, and pictured on your screen left to right are the beautiful Sonoi Nakajima, cinematographer Keiichi Sakurai, the director of Godzilla Appears in Tsukugawa, Kenji Suzuki, who we all know. Some people you might not know this gentleman, Kenya Saito, who actually plays Godzilla in the costume.
The younger guy or the...
Yes, the guy with the camo.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So he was in the actual movie, and he was also in the Boss Coffee commercial that was done thereafter. And then the infamous Yuji Sakai there next to me, and then some guy with the Famous Monsters jacket on. I don't know who that guy is. But that was backstage at the Godzilla Fest, and that was when people got a preview of the movie, a very short preview. But what's interesting as well is Saito-san also showed up in the costume and did high fives with everybody, and people were like going bonkers since it was the first display.
I believe that's called a high touch, Ed.
Yes.
We found that out when we were over there.
But they don't touch anymore. So now in Japan, we're going like this. Imagine this is your hands would go like this. And even people on television are doing this too. So the high touch doesn't exist right now during COVID.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Totally.
It does.
James is asking, is this the Godzilla Museum? This is actually, no, this is the Tsuburaya Museum. It exists outside of Tokyo. It's in Fukushima, basically. It's in an area called Tsukagawa, and hour and a half.
Basically, by Shinkansen, right? And one bonus of it as you're going up there is you get a chance to see Mount Fuji on your left, and depending on when you go, you might see it covered in snow. But yeah, that's the birthplace and the birth town of Mr. Eiji Tsuburaya.
Yeah, and so this museum is essentially, it's a dedicated wing or corner of a community center called the Tete Center or something like that. And
Tete Community Center.
Yeah, and so that exists. It's a great thing to go do if you're going to be in Japan for a little while, because it's kind of like a day trip. You got to take a bullet train to get up there, go to the museum, check it out, and then come back. It's not a short trip, but it's totally. I really liked it. I thought it was well worth it.
Yeah, and they're still doing events there too. They haven't done as many. There's no plans for future things as well. Some I can't discuss, but at the same point, if you love Godzilla, you love Ultraman, you like the films of Tsuburaya Eiji, I would definitely go to this center, because we could talk on and on about it, but I've done some articles, and you can look those up if you like. Some of them are online too. But back to Godzilla Fest. I stopped by the Eiji Tsuburaya Museum, as I mentioned, and I met up with Sakai-san during a private viewing. And then they did the public opening in January 2019. In March of 2019, I was able to invite Akira Takarada and Toho Studios business staff to United States Fleet Activities Yokosuka, and they visited us, and we have some photos of that too. There's Sakai-san.
Oh yeah, I missed that one. Sorry, that's a good one though, because that's you guys both in the museum.
Yes,
that was like the only spot they'll let you take pictures, by the way.
Correct. And that was an impromptu meeting. But after that, in March, Takarada-san and Toho came down to Yokosuka. And there is Takarada-san with the Deputy Public Affairs Officer of the United Warship USS Ronald Reagan. He's got the Yuji Sakai Shodai Gojira there.
Nice, the big X Plus, yeah.
Yes, limited. So Takarada-san and staff were so well received there. They were so very happy. It was an ordeal to get this thing happening. There's all kinds of red tape and so forth, but it worked out. And Takarada-san and Toho presented, we talked about a little bit, the limited X Plus Shodai Gojira and a plaque to the crew of the USS Reagan. The forward deployed aircraft carrier, it's actually patrolling the South China Sea right now and protecting U.S. and Japanese interests in Asia. And in the spring thereafter, I had a meeting at Toho's corporate headquarters, and they thanked me for promoting Godzilla. And we talked about the Tsukagawa film and set photos, and they mentioned that they would be in touch, which led to my invitation to the Godzilla Fest. Now, fast forward to 2019.
I know some of those guys.
Yeah, and we left that guy in the corner there instead of doing the SNS and blacking his face. So we thought we'd make him famous too. I don't know who you are, sir, but thank you.
Oh, that's my buddy Jimmy. He's totally cool with it.
So in 2019, I was very excited to hear from you, Kyle, and that you were bringing your Kaiju Cast listeners to Japan to attend Godzilla Fest. And so each year, more and more people are coming. And we had the opportunity to also meet up in Yokosuka. Unfortunately, the Godzilla slide at the Flower Park at that time was closed. So when you come back again with the troop, we'll go over there and see that wonderful slide that was put up by Mr. Koichi Kawakita before changes started happening with the business structure and so forth and so on.
Another story for another time. Next time, I'm in for it, man. Let's just make sure we get that train schedule. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that was fun. Where are we? And you were like a chicken with all your, hen, the hen with all the chickens behind you.
Yeah, that's right. That's the mother duck. By the way, I definitely got to give a shout out from left to right. My Kaiju, what was it? Kaiju Cast Fanvasion crew. That is Stefan, Weber, Clancy, some big burly dude with a beard.
The nice
Brian
jacket.
Brian Clark in the back, and Canadian James up front. A couple of other people had already wandered off, so unfortunately they are not in the photo. Not pictured, the other people.
I hope I can meet you guys all again at some point. So who is this wonderful gentleman?
Well, I know that man. That's motion capture actor TJ Storm.
So about that same time, I had received note from Jessica Sang, who was representing the legendary Goji motion capture actor TJ Storm, that they were coming to Japan. So, wow, this is interesting. So a lot was going on. I was covering Godzilla's birthday, planning to meet up with you guys and Jessica and TJ, and so much stuff was happening. And, throughout this whole stuff, we've been covering different aspects of Tokusatsu with my magazine, our TV show, and other things. But when all this happened, I thought it was very special. There's Shinji Nishikawa, Godzilla illustrator designer, doing the show that Gojira. He kicked off the whole ceremonies. But before all that happened, before the festival happened, I did a push for the event in October. And I put an article together for the Stars and Stripes newspaper, and it made the cover there in October. And then they did a feature in the back as well. And you can see some various stuff there. If you notice, you'll see the X Plus Mechagodzilla model kit that John Ruffin designed the art for.
Yeah, that was an exclusive from the event there. That was basically like the thing to get. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it was great. But it was an amazing event, don't you think?
Oh, the whole event was fantastic. So I became aware of Godzilla Fest a few years ago because I was actually there for his birthday, but not for his birthday in 2013 when my wife and I were there. And I remember in 2013 saying, man, it'd be cool if somebody was doing something Godzilla related. And I think it took the American Godzilla release to push Toho to start doing stuff, because it wasn't until that first movie came and did pretty brisk business that Toho was like, hey, we're going to start organizing all these things. There's going to be a Godzilla store. There's going to be a new anime. There's going to be the hotel. So basically that was sort of like what I think the bomb that set that off in the direction that we're in today.
You're exactly right, because back when the legendary Godzilla first came out, there were so many people on the fence. There were younger people who really loved the movie. Some of the older crowd were, kind of, off and on, but like it really took off. And the festival that we went to last year was amazing. It was better than the 2018 as well. There were more people at this outing, and it was well organized, and there was some publicity out there. There were more things for kids and adults. And all of this was before COVID-19 struck. And I'm so glad you were able to attend. Japan now has put a ban on travelers coming in from the United States for now. So everything has kind of changed.
Yeah, it's sad.
It is. But going back to TJ and all that, he's traveled, solely to Japan for the festival. And, there's a private Toho Studios visit for a few fans after that, consecutive days. So many people came to see him. And as we look at this picture here, we see, starting off with Ishikawa Sensei, just like, it was wonderful from the beginning. And the day started really early for me. I had to head north to Tokyo and take trains and transfer and all that. And Ishikawa Sensei was kicked off the grand opening. And this was the genesis of a larger brush painting that he did. And we can show you that a little bit later as well. And then the masters of ceremonies showed up, and it's always, a pleasure to see. I definitively call Takarada-san the navigator of Godzilla culture. He graced the stage with Toho, and there's a photo there too, and
Nice.
Michiko-san, and they did the traditional sake barrel christening, replete with real alcohol. You could smell the rice wine. I mean, like, this was a Godzilla Fest, and you could smell the rice wine permeating the air, and it was really neat. Takarada-san even threw a bit of the alcohol out of the barrel onto the press crew in the audience and kind of laughed about it. It was funny. For me personally, and I think many others, to me, this was a new level of fan event praising, the King of Monsters. I don't think it's never been matched. If they do another one, hopefully it'll be matched. I remember looking stage left, and I saw in the corner of my eye somebody who's photographing or videotaping the event, I believe, and it was Michael Field, and he was just beaming. I mean, I could see him from a distance. He was just like beaming, like just soaking it up, but at the same time recording. And we caught up a little bit later afterwards, and it was really nice, to speak with him. During the open ceremonies, Takarada-san spoke of his co-stars and filming crew, director Honda, the god of Japanese special effects, Eiji Tsuburaya, and then lovingly, I think we have another photo, he pointed up to the heavens as he spoke about suit actor extraordinaire Haruo Nakajima. And that was very special for me. I felt him, I felt Nakajima-sama cheering Takarada on from up above, from the heavens, and he pointed up, and it was really nice. He also talked about all of his visits around the world. He highlighted his trip to the USS Reagan that we spoke about earlier. And he pointed me out smiling and addressed the crowd about his warm welcome to Yokosuka. I was kind of like, oh, I'm trying to work here, and I'm trying not to get embarrassed, and he's pointing me out. But that visit was very special to him. Not only did they give a Godzilla figure and a plaque, but that ship is the only ship in the world that has Godzilla as a permanent member of the crew. And that's thanks to Takarada-san.
That's awesome.
And I just, it's like, wow, you care that much, that you had to go through all the red tape with me to get there. And they were under construction. But anyway, so later, Takarada's son mentioned to me that his visit to Yokosuka was one of the top highlights of his career. We took him to see the footprint from the first film. And that was very special to hear that from the Takarada's on Godzilla's birthday, no less. And there's an article about it in GFAT, and there's also other things out there on the net about it. And Tetsuya also did a nice article in that issue of GFAN about the Godzilla Fest too. So what do we do? What do you think is going to happen going forward with Godzilla Fest? I don't know if
Oh man, well, you guys aren't having any sort of public events now, are you?
Not really having any public events. That's a good question. A lot of things are being canceled and stuff. If due to COVID right now, there was an event scheduled to happen called Godzilla Island. And we have a picture, but I also want to show you something before we show you the picture. This was scheduled to happen this year and on Awaji Island. But there's no word yet if this event in Hyogo Prefecture near Osaka Island is going to happen or not. So, I don't know what the plan is for the re-proposal or what's going to happen with that. We also have a photo of the mock-up there from Godzilla Fest.
It's super cool, by the way. Just as for the people who are watching that might not know what we're talking about. Basically, around this time, maybe a couple of weeks earlier, late October or something like that, 2019, Awaji Island, which is one of the many, many islands around Japan, but sort of close-ish to the Tokyo area, announced that they were going to create like a theme park with a giant life-size Shin Godzilla with a purple glowing throat that I think you could walk
You
in.
can fast rope in or something.
Yeah. It
Something
looks
like that.
amazing. It looks amazing. And I remember that when they talked about it, I was like, wow, they're going to have this done in a year. Impressive. Then of course COVID had its way with the world, but
Right.
yeah, this is it. This is just to sell it a little bit because it was, even seeing it in person, it's a tiny compared to what it's going to be in real life, but it was still a sizable piece of display there.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to, go there together or see it, in the future. But, a lot of things have been canceled. Wonder Festival has already been canceled. There are no large events scheduled in Japan that I know of this year. Some of the concerts have been canceled as well.
Yeah.
But according to the recent post that just came out just the other day, the Tokusatsu of DNA is doing their Ultraman exhibit in the fall. So there is hope. We just need a vaccine for COVID so everybody can get over to it.
Well, I hope, first up, I hope that this Awaji Island thing happens and that there is some killer Godzilla installation that fans have at least a few years to go check out. That would be awesome.
I think the idea is for it's going to be a permanent exhibition is what I remember. So they were still, working out some of the details and not everything was obviously available. So it's going to be incredible, I mean, of course, there'll be stuff there that you can only buy there, similar to, I guess, like Universal Studios Japan's Shin Godzilla ride and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Toho is involved at every step of the way, So,
oh,
for
totally,
instance,
yeah.
the Universal Studios Japan ride that happened a while back, that was shot on, Toho Soundstage as part of that. So
Yeah. No, I think honestly, when you asked earlier about what I think is going to happen in future Godzilla Fests for Japan, like what's going to happen this year is a
Right.
big who knows.
Right.
But hey,
And
Toho, if you want to do something online, clearly I've got a proven strategy. So call me.
Get on the horn. Get on the Godzilla horn.
Get on my
That's a hot phone.
Anyway, yeah. So sorry. Let's go back to the show here. What was next here? We got the Awaji Island guy. You showed off the paper.
Yes. There were some other highlights that I would like to mention, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, yeah.
The really extremely popular Gojiban puppet live YouTube explosion, that's been going on for a while. They had an exhibition or portion of the exhibition at Godzilla Fest 2019, and it was wonderful. It was so great. There was, a theater, and there was displays of Godzilla. There were used screen items. I was able to run into a few friends like Yusuke Miki, who works on the Ultraman series. And there you see part of the live, shot of the actual puppet theater. And so when I go to these things and I cover these things, it's real hard for me to turn off the emotion and to put everything aside and not just
not fan
laugh
out. Yeah.
Or the tears start rolling or whatever. So to catch the action, and the action was moving fast. So it's not just like a little puppet, like this, moving around. I mean, it's a giant puppet and a crew of people, and Giger was flailing, and Big Papa Godzilla came back, and he was down and out, and you had little Godzilla and Minya over there, chatting it out, and Hedora, and on, and Mosura. I'll never forget the Mosura costume. Instead of saying anything, Mosura kept on saying "Mochi mochi mochi mochi." It's just it's hilarious. But anyway, it's something really nice for the kids and high quality. And it was right there, part of the exhibit. It was like a nominal fee to go and see that portion too.
That Goji Band show is a trip.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Isn't it? It's really funny. And the people are, obviously huge fans, and they're now sponsored by Toho doing this. So, that could probably lead to something as well. There they are. So cute. But
Where's Rachel? Rachel needs to be here talking about how cute these guys are.
this kind of reminds me a little bit of some of the puppet theater type things they had at Ultraman Land, but it's to the next level. Ultraman Land had that kind of stuff too, and they had funky people doing funky puppeting and stuff like that next to the live action stage. So
Yeah, that was cool. So the stage they had for the viewers out there, the stage they had basically from, gosh, it was probably 10 a.m. going all the way into the evening.
Right.
They had live stuff happening, whether it was performances by someone, and we'll talk about them later, but or these guys, the puppets, or Takarada-san, or the live drawing from Shinji Nishikawa. That was awesome because he continued drawing after they took him off the stage.
Right.
Wait, sorry. That makes it sound like they took him off the stage after he just refused to stop painting.
But before they took him off, they said, he's
yeah,
going to be backstage doing it, so you can go back there. And there was a line forming.
Totally, yeah. They literally just moved the canvas to the opposite side of the stage, and then he continued the live drawing. Kind of out, it's like out on the street, but it's the Godzilla square, so it's all like safe. But yeah, it was pretty awesome to watch him just make this gigantic mural. Anyway, sorry to interrupt that.
Oh no, you're not interrupted at all. I mean, this is a great to have this discussion because you had such a wonderful experience, and we really haven't talked about it since that night. To be honest with you, that much.
Yeah, totally.
Here we are. One highlight always is running into sweet Sonoe-san, Nakajima-san. At these events, when I see her, I think a lot about her dad. And for me, the heart and soul of Godzilla Forevermore is Nakajima. So, to feel the presence of someone who's no longer here, I mean, it was a great experience. I'd be remiss also. We talked about X Plus, the Mechagodzilla kit, but to see something from my uber talented friend John Ruffin in the flesh, there in Japan, even though he wasn't there. I remember, when I ran into you, we were waiting in line to get into the store. And you, you said, and I said, well, the only thing I really want to get is this Mechagodzilla model kit,
Yeah, totally.
And someone Kaiju International, Jeremy and everybody, supporting all of that. So fans from the U.S. supporting an event in Japan, and then fans from the U.S. coming to Japan, getting together. I mean, it was really a community thing. You mentioned also some more of the other events and things that happened. I was kind of roped into this, so to speak, and I think you have a photo of it. It's kind of interesting.
This is the guy I knew we were going to talk about.
Yes, so I had to cover the comedic dancer Yoshio Kojima, who not only is a comedy guy and a dancer and really fit, but he also's lately been in the Japanese news as a talent on game shows and quiz shows. So he's kind of rising up, during this pandemic. And it was funny to see, you see the videos, but then to see him up on stage, in the signature Speedos doing the Chibi Goji dance, and those little kids at the bottom of the stage dancing, and they're wearing the hats and all that. But, that shows you how Godzilla has transcended. Now he's in, a series of popular books for children.
Yeah.
And, usually about this time, they have a cake ceremony at the end when they bring out the old directors and people who are still with us that worked and stuff. And I'm honestly, at that time, Kyle, I'm pretty spent. So I don't end up making it for that photo.
We had taken off long before this. I think while they had programming on the stage that went from morn till eve, I'll just say that not all the programming needed to be seen. And like, if you were doing the thing like the high touch, trying to get the Godzilla high five, oh my God, you had to stand in such a long line for that. I think essentially all of my peeps were like, yeah, we've seen what we need to see. And we were out of there by like 2:00.
Yeah, they kind of got the notes from the 2018 festival and the feedback. And so they opened it up to, I think, 3 high touches with 3 different Godzilla costumes, so that people could all get the opportunity, to do that. And they once again they had the signature foods, which I never get a chance to be a part of that, but they have signature foods. They show stuff on the screen. They're promoting everything. They have the store. The store was really well organized. I mean, if you got there in advance and got there early,
Yeah, yeah.
you could get what you needed and get out of there. Even though there were more people, they put it in a different section and funneled you in and funneled you out. And you never know who's going to show up at these things. People, just, it's honestly an event catered to like the synchronicity of whatever happens. But there's a schedule, but there's also stuff that happens too. Later on, I did get a chance to go back to the corporate offices, and I was able to see this amazing art that you mentioned by Nishikawa. And so the final piece was, oh my gosh, there it is. And I can't explain to you the scale of that thing because you saw the earlier picture of just a portion of the head,
I mean, it's basically, that's the height of a man. That paper is the height of a man.
It's insane.
It's actually taller, right? Because he's got his arm up. Yeah, it's taller than Nishikawa.
So we can just leave this up for a while and let all the viewers just like oogle and Google at this thing. I mean, I've seen his art before, and he's done some amazing things everywhere he goes, whether it's Comic-Con or Monsterpalooza or whatever. But he outdid himself here.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I mean, look at Mogura up there. I just like every little element, and for your artists out there, like look at the extreme use of negative space, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, the man is a master, for sure.
And he doesn't even give himself that much credit. All the things he's done over the years, the stuff he did with Koichi Kawakita on the TV series and all that. Funny enough, he just showed up at the set of the Godzilla Appears in Tsukugawa, and he's like, "Huh? What are you doing here?" And he's like hanging out there and enjoying it. So he did the storyboards for Godzilla Appears in Tsukugawa.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually have that book over there. I wonder if it's got some storyboard artwork in it.
It probably does. It doesn't have my pictures in it, but it has a lot of good stuff in it.
Toho! Yeah.
I love them. But yeah, that movie, and I think you've seen it, it's 14 minutes, including the making of. So if you go up to Tsukugawa and you see the movie, don't blink, because you might miss me, but I'm in the back with the camera real quick in the making of. So the making of is longer than the movie, right? But
yeah.
It's a real good use of, practical effects and CG, and just fantastic to see that big giant pool room there, But
yeah, lots of cool stuff in that museum for sure.
Very cool. And, we could talk about that for a whole Kaiju Cast panel, right?
That could have been one, people. So maybe in a future panel, we'll be able to actually do that for real.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. The art you're looking at right now, everybody, TJ Storm was so impressed by this art that when he saw the final, he actually bowed to the finished piece. And I was like, wow. Like, he gave total props to Nishikawa-san there.
So what was your favorite part, or what did you have the most fun at the festival?
There were so many good things, just running into people. But I imagine my favorite part of the evening was probably coordinating with Toho and the press crew on the spot to bring TJ Storm up on stage to greet the fans, and for him to be able to greet the fans and do a photo op with one of the Godzilla suits. I mean, the suit was fantastic, and the way that TJ was posing, it's just like, I can only imagine what he felt like being up there. People are rushing to the stage, and flashes are going off, and people are like, I heard some people like, oh, like a gasp, I mean, it's a man in a suit, but
TJ is awesome. His enthusiasm is like off the charts, and so his reactions when he's like, he takes pictures with people and stuff like that, like like get selfies with them, like he really, as your photo exemplifies, hams it up in the best possible way. He's a great dude. I really enjoyed interviewing him for the podcast, and seeing him in Japan was just a total treat.
Wasn't that nice? I mean, do you remember the lines of people like 40, 50 deep waiting just to say hi to him? Remember that? And people are like, I mean, looking at the picture, just dawned on me. You got Shodai Gojira, Millennium Godzilla, and Legendary Godzilla all in that triangle right there. But people were really, you know, pouring their love for him. It was kind of amazing. Toho was amazed at how popular he was with the fans, especially since he was not listed in the programming. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, he just came out on his own, as I've been told.
and then he got a chance to go to the Toho Studios too and pay his respects to the people there. I think there's another photo, maybe of a different angle.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the Godzilla, Millennium Godzilla's eye there. It's like spooky, man.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
got some good iridescence to it. It's very nice.
doesn't it? Doesn't it? It was a lot of fun. I don't know what, like I said, is going to happen for the next go around. I think, I hope it happens again. I hope it happens again sometime in the near future, and that the Godzilla Island and all that stuff happens. I'm sure they have all kinds of plans. There's an executive committee there.
Hmm.
I mean, up in their business offices, they have rooms like the Hedora room, the Shin Godzilla room, which I had a meeting in, and the Mothra room. Like, you go to the door and it's like a business room, but it's got like a relief of the kaiju on the door. It's like,
That's cool.
It's
That's
pretty
cool.
bizarre. But I know they have plans for the future, and I'm hoping that everybody can come out, and that people like yourself who bring people for the first time, you're doing a service that it's hard to kind of exemplify what you're doing, because you do it, and in a way I do it, and for lack of a better word, you and I are kind of like tour guides, so to speak, or the JTB branch of Kaiju. Come on down, come on over.
Yeah, I definitely cater to that when I do those trips. I will play tour guide for sure.
Yeah, and
I,
you do it
I
all
do.
with seal, and you're calm, and you've also got a lot of work to do.
Oh my God, that's right. Ed got to see me in action when we lost a guy.
We were working together. You and I
That's
were
right.
working,
That's right. You
and
helped
everybody
out
else
a
was
lot.
we're staying put, and you and I were like running around the platform like chickens with their heads cut off.
No, we were good. You were like telling we won't even name his name, because I know it embarrasses him, and I don't want to embarrass him
Please
this
don't.
weekend. But basically, yeah, he fell asleep on the train, and it kept going, and we realized it, and thankfully, he was able to basically get a phone call, and Ed helped me figure out exactly what needed to happen, because he was actually in a weird station zone. So basically,
Yes,
going to the next station, getting
might
off
not
the
work.
train, and coming up back on whatever the next train is might not get you back to the same
No.
platform and stuff. So we got it all figured out. It all figured out. Good tour guide stuff. High five, high
Yeah,
touch. I mean, high
virtual high
touch,
touch.
high touch.
But I felt bad for your friend, because like the manager Balton Saging and Jamida was waiting for him, so we couldn't be late. We had to make
Right,
it on
right.
time
Yeah, yeah.
to the Kaiju Sakaba, and we had a great time there. I mean, every time you and I get together at Kaiju Sakaba or wherever it may be, it's always a lot of fun, and it just feels natural. It's
It's
great.
the place to be. It's like Cheers, except I don't. I walk in there, they don't go Kyle
Yeah, I don't know who Norm
yet.
is in relation
They
to.
don't do that yet.
No, but they know you.
That's
They know
true.
you.
That's true.
Yeah, they do know you, and they're happy to see you. And it's really nice. Um, I guess it's amazing that we still have some time here, that we're doing this virtual event, and I look forward to you coming over again. I hope we can actually do this in person again. I'd like to see if anybody wants to say any comments. Would anybody be interested in Kyle and I doing a panel again, maybe at the next G Fest? Anybody have any ideas about that?
I don't think they really have any say. We're just going to do it. But
Let's get
thank
to
you for everybody who's already just going to throw that yes into the comments anyway.
Yeah, here's a nice little view of TJ and Sonoe-san there at one of the exhibits with the Shodai Gojira. And the way they lit this thing up, the way that they put the lighting together, and everything was just fantastic. They had the big teapot that Takarada-san was involved in.
Yeah.
That you saw at G-Fest. They had that on display. At one point, they brought in these girls, and you talked about cosplay and stuff earlier in your show. And I took some really nice photos, but I kind of wasn't really invited to that, so I kind of didn't get a chance to release any of that. But imagine these really beautiful girls in Destroyer and Mothra and Godzilla and Gigan costumes posing in that same area where TJ was with Kiryu, Godzilla and stuff. And, once again, trying to keep it together, but trying to get the shot. And it was just wonderful. I mean, photo ops out the wazoo at this Godzilla Fest. So those people who like to take pictures, go to the next one if you can.
Whenever that's going to be. Yeah.
Whenever that's going to be, and I believe that, things are getting in place. I mean, some of the theaters are opening up. They're doing social distancing. Some of the restaurants are opening up. But we have to be honest, too. The cases are having a spike. So the cases of COVID are rising again in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not as significant as Texas or Florida or places like that. But it is, it is definitely a consideration. So, people like myself who work for the government, we can't go to Tokyo. I haven't been to Tokyo in 5.5 months.
Mm.
I'd love to go, but my friends and friends in the industry as well are being safe too. So, don't limit yourself. Don't put yourself in a dangerous situation. And please wear your mask when you go outside. I mean, come on, people. I'm not saying that any of you guys there, but I see the stuff in the States, and I cannot believe that people are not taking it serious, from the top on down.
It's weird, but,
It is what it is, but...
It's where we're at right now, I guess.
Right, until we get a vaccine,
I'm just laughing out of nervousness.
Well, sometimes laughter is good for the soul. And, shedding a tear for those who we've lost as well, including those people that you put in your memoriam earlier in your programming. Yes, I stayed up really late to watch the opening ceremonies because I'm a geek too.
Thank you for doing that.
It was really nice. And the greetings from Takarada-san. It's like, welcome to my house. This is my business office. This is, you're a part of this. So
I have to give a shout out to Hiro Kirigawa.
Yes.
That dude is my heavy metal rock star because he got me those translations under the wire. Some of those videos came in really late.
Yeah.
Especially for someone like me who doesn't actually speak Japanese.
Right. And translating the Japanese is very difficult. Even if you speak the language, you got to get the nuance right. You got to make the person sound right, and you got to make the person seem respectable. And so seeing those translations, that was wonderful, and hearing Higuchi-san, talk right there in English. And
Adios. Yeah.
Adios, yes. And talk, right there in English about stuff and show his, pictures from back in the day. And, discussing the history, the history of Godzilla and, Ultraman and Tokusatsu is ever evolving, licensing. And I think, honestly, just about anything is possible, with what we're involved in these days. And, asked me 20-something years ago, when I was doing, 30 years ago almost now, doing a Tokusatsu tribute show on cable access that picked up and then, sent to Chicago, that I would be here living in Japan and covering some of this stuff, and there's more things coming. So, yeah, I love that costume. And
it's pretty beautiful.
If I could get a chance, I mean, who knows, with God willing, maybe release some of the photos that I took from the set. That would be nice. I have pictures of Sakai-san adjusting the eyeballs on the costume at this the set, and explosions. And they brought out stuff from the Heisei era. They brought out maser tanks from the Heisei Godzilla films, and stuff like, where is this stuff? Who's keeping this stuff? It's not being kept here in Toho. I know that.
Yeah.
And didn't see the costume. So when you went to the Tsuburaya Museum, the costume you're seeing is the actual costume from the film.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. Right on.
Yeah.
But there's different copies, you said, yeah.
Yeah. So, but when you looked at that costume, not this one, because this is like something different, but when you looked at that costume at the Tsuburaya Museum, didn't it look really heavy? It didn't look like it was, latex that someone could fit in or whatever. It looked rock hard, I don't know what.
Well, seeing the sculpting of it alone is amazing. And
Right.
I know that it's one of those things where we only know the 1954 the 1954 suit through the film and through the photos.
Right.
We didn't actually know no one alive that's watching this stream at least has ever seen it in person in its glory when it was created.
Right.
So even Sakai-san or Sensei, I don't even know what his title is, but for him to go and master, is that Sama? Anyway, for him to just sculpt this thing and have it just look so dead on. I'm wondering if it does actually look better than the original suit did, just because it's almost like a romanticized version of the 1954 suit. From it's picture perfect, but is it almost too picture perfect? It's so beautiful.
It breathes and it moves well, and the tail, everything was just incredible, and I was so thankful to be there. There's some shots that I took of the costume in action with explosions and stuff like that, right? And I mean, I can't show you, but there's one picture where Shodai Gojira is reeling back, and because of the way his eyes are and stuff, the light just hit the eye, and he looks like he's crazy, like he's like and because of the position of the eye and everything, it looks like truly Godzilla's a mad monster, which is what he was in the first film, before he became the hero.
The mad monster. The mad monster's loose. Hey, so I've got a note here that says there's another thing you want to do.
Oh yes, I do. Sorry, I got a drink out of my Bejinder coffee. Yes. There's one more thing. It's prize time, right? It's not much, but I wanted to give, one special fan a chance to get something from the festival who couldn't come to the last three, or who might not ever get a chance to come, and a few
That's
other things.
cool.
So here's the rules, everybody, if you don't mind. The first person that comments in the chat room or the YouTube site here, that comments why Godzilla is special to him or to her, gets the prize, but don't comment until I say 1, 2, 3, go. And I'm gonna hit the bell when I do it too, okay? So, and we'll check the comments later and get back to the winner, and you're gonna get something directly from Japan sent to you. So before I say that, we're gonna say it in Japanese, Ichi ni san. And then make your comment. Ichi, ni, san. All right. So if we see a comment pop up, then you will be the first person. But let me show you what you're going to get.
Yeah, let's see this prize.
It's nothing special, like I said, but it's something. So.
All right, we got one already.
It's not a 6-pack. It's not a 6-pack. I love it. It says Godzilla is a window to the wonder of my childhood. Matthew Bazell, you are the winner, and I love what you said. So it's not a 6-pack of Ebisu beer, but it's going to come in this bag. What you get is a program that shows you everything that happened at Godzilla Fest, including like the badges you could get if you got badges. And then it has like the whole map, shows you everything that you could do there, which is great, and a promotion for the Godzilla store. That's part 1. Part 2 is the second edition of the Godzilla 2019 King of the Monsters pamphlet from Toho Cinemas that had additional stuff. It's not just the Chirashi, but it's a little booklet. And it has like the history of Godzilla and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's like a mini program.
Yeah, kind of, and that's part of it too. I don't think there's a lot of these around. I haven't seen them. All right, and then part 3 in the spirit of childhood to Matthew, you get a Chibi Gojira hat. So I don't think they had these. I don't know if they did. They only gave them out to the kids in 2019, but
I got one.
you did?
As an adult who tried to put one on, I would just say be very careful before, my head was too big for the hat and it is paper, so mine ripped a little bit. So don't rip your brand new hat, Matthew.
And there you go for that. And I'll get a Ultraman capsule toy that you can actually change, and you can put it in the toy if you bought the toy. That's going to come with this price pack. And the piece of resistance, which I only have one, don't have any more, like the mask or the hat. The Godzilla 2018 Festival tote bag.
Nice.
So you put your
That's
figures
awesome.
or go to the next G Fest. Hey, somebody says my heart is full.
No, that's Matthew. That's the guy who won.
That's great, Matt. So just make sure that you contact Kaiju Cast offline with your private information about your address and stuff, and you'll get that in the mail. Send it out to you next week.
I think he already messaged me today, so just pick that back up, sir.
Okay, very good. I just want to say, Kyle, thank you for doing this. I know a lot of people would say thank you, but it's a pleasure to meet you and be your friend and to kind of help facilitate some of the things that you've done. I don't know how to explain it, but Godzilla's been my favorite since I first saw Godzilla versus the Smog Monster in the theater as a child in second grade. And the teacher asked, okay, we have two options. You want to go to the zoo and learn about animals, or do you want to learn about ecology and see a movie? Everybody said, learn about ecology and see a movie. What's the movie called? Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. And it was like that scene in Godzilla films in the Heisei era where everybody raises their hand. The whole class during school went to see this movie.
Fantastic.
Starring Nakajima Haruo and Kenpachiro Satsuma.
That's right. Oh, man. Thank you so much, Ed. Thank you for sharing your photos, and thank you for joining me here for Kaiju Con Line. Thank you so much for everybody watching. Sorry we didn't get to ask any questions, but I hope you enjoyed the presentation as it was. It was really a killer event, and I would stay in chat. But I got to get to my next panel, which, if you're hanging around for the next panel, it's going to be on the Kaiju Cast channel. It is the Super Happy Podcast Reunion. I can't even remember what I called it, but we're going to have a whole bunch of Kaiju Cast hosts there, and then we're going to sort of do a Daikaiju discussion, and then that's going to dovetail into the listener party, where we have live music from Cosmic Monster and Oxygen Destroyer. All right, guys, thank you so much. And we will see you for the next video, right? Jamata.
Mata masho.